working with this hand, I'm having a weapon in this hand. I'm working with this hand, I'm having faith with this hand. So in your life, when people come against you, which they're going to do, how do you respond? How do you respond? Number one, you respond in prayer. Jesus says, pray for your enemies, bless those who persecute you. Number two, you get to work. You get to work. You don't let somebody else's tearing you down stop you from your calling. Stop you from what God's calling you to do. You don't let that happen. God, I'm going to pray for them, but I got a mission, I got a goal. And I'm going to keep building, and I'm even going to build with enthusiasm because I know that the only reason they're mad is because I'm doing something for the kingdom. Hey everybody, so today in the Ultra, once again we're doing 5 chapters a day, 100 days. If you're new to the journey along with us, this is Blackjack Baptist Church. I'm Drake Nelson, and we're on this journey called the Ultra where we're taking over half our Bible, actually not quite, right at half of our Bible, reading a lot of stuff in the Old Testament, a lot of stuff in the New Testament. We find ourselves in Ezra and Nehemiah, specifically today in Nehemiah 1 through 5. And so I have a question for you, and that question is, do you ever get opposition? And I think the obvious answer is yes. So how do you handle the opposition that you get? Well, that's what we're going to find out in Nehemiah chapter 5 today. And it just kind of goes on. And if you know the story about Nehemiah, they're trying to rebuild the wall. So in Ezra, which we just read, they're rebuilding a temple. Now we're in Nehemiah, they're rebuilding this wall. So what we see is Sanballat. He's one of these guys who you don't want to be your friend. But he was very angry, chapter 4, verse 1, when he learned that we were rebuilding the wall. He flew into a rage and mocked the Jews, saying in front of their friends and the Samaritans, "What does this bunch of poor, feeble Jews think they're doing? Do you think they can build the wall in a single day by offering a few sacrifices?" So, real quick, Sanballat became angry because people were doing something and he was doing nothing. And many times in your life, people are going to criticize you because of your success. Say it one more time, okay? People are going to come against you. I don't know how any other way to put this. People are going to come against you when you succeed. When you're doing better than them, when your finances are better than theirs, when your family's better than theirs, and I'm not saying that your family is better than theirs. I'm not saying, but in their opinion, if they think you have everything together, they're coming at you. That's just how humans are. So what does he come out with him? Number one, Sanballat, he comes in, he's mocking who they are. He says, you're a bunch of weak, poor, feeble Jews. That's what he calls them. So the first thing that people are going to criticize is your outside appearance. You're poor, you're weak, you're feeble, and you're a Jew. And so for you, maybe it's you're overweight, you're too skinny, hair looks all crazy, you don't know how to dress. I mean, I don't know what it is for you, but that's where they're coming first. The first sign of attack. So to anybody who's being bullied, the very first thing is outward appearance. Secondly, do you think you can rebuild the wall in a single day by just offering a few sacrifices? What does he do next? Their religion. They're trying to be faithful to God. They're offering sacrifices. They're trusting in God. They're having faith in God that God, you're going to help us build this wall. What does he do? He insults their faith. So he calls them out from their appearance. Now he insults their faith. And then he says, do they actually think they can make some of these stones from a rubbish heap and charred ones at that? So then what does he say? He's going to say, there's no way that you can do what you have faith for. No way. You think you can start this business? It's not going to work. You think you can trust God to do a reverse tithe this month, it's not going to work. No way you can do that. No way. You think you can trust God to for your? I want to say some other things, but I don't know who watches these videos, and sometimes I talk and I don't want somebody to think I'm talking about anybody, because I'm just going to keep on reading. So here's what he says, verse 3. Tobiah the Ammonite, who was standing beside him, remarked, "That stone would collapse even if a fox walked across it." So then what does he do? He insults their work. So he's insulted their appearance, he's insulted their faith, he's insulted their dreams and what they think that they have faith for and what they think they can do. Now he's going to insult what they've already done. It was a terrible job. You did a terrible job. You think it was good. I'm glad you think it was good. Actually, it was awful. And so then he says this, verse 4. Gosh, it's so good. "Then I prayed, hear us, our God, for we are being mocked. May their scoffing fall back on their heads, and may they themselves become captives in a foreign land. Do not ignore their guilt. Do not blot out their sins, for they have provoked you to anger in front of all the builders." This is a prayer. What does he do? What does Nehemiah do? In the face of criticism, he prays. In the face of adversity, he prays. In the face of people saying, "You look funny. No way you can do it." In the face of the bullying and the meanness, I'll tell you what, Nehemiah said, "I'm going to God, and I'm going to do it in prayer." Here's what he says, verse 6. "At last the wall was completed to half of its height around the entire city for the people who had worked with enthusiasm. But when Sanballat and Tobiah," now there's two, because there's always more than one person. It's going to start out being one person maybe, and then boom, it's going to add to it. More success, more haters. More success, more haters. So now it's become two people, and the Arabs and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites heard their work was going ahead, that the gaps of the wall of Jerusalem had been repaired. They were furious. They all made plans to come and fight against Jerusalem and throw us into confusion. But once again, listen to what he did. "But we prayed in our God and guarded the city day and night to protect ourselves." But the workers were getting tired. And long story short, I know you've already read all this, but long story short, they begin to work with one hand and have a weapon in another hand. Just like we talked about Sunday. I'm working with this hand, I'm having a weapon in this hand. I'm working with this hand, I'm having faith with this hand. So in your life, when people come against you, which they're going to do, how do you respond? How do you respond? Number one, you respond in prayer. Jesus says, "Pray for your enemies. Bless those who persecute you." Number two, you get to work. You get to work. You don't let somebody else's tearing you down stop you from your calling. Stop you from what God's calling you to do. You don't let that happen. God, I'm going to pray for them, but I got a mission, I got a goal. And I'm going to keep building, and I'm even going to build with enthusiasm, because I know that the only reason they're mad is because I'm doing something for the kingdom. So you pray for them, you continue to work, and what we see in this passage, I didn't get to read it, but what we would have saw if we kept reading, and hopefully you read this yourselves, they left it in God's hands. They said, "God, you deal with them. God, they're yours. You deal with them. We're going to deal with us. I'm not trying to get revenge. I'm not trying to get back at them. I'm going to leave. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord." And so that's the way that this passage, anyways, teaches us to handle our enemies. So do you have enemies? Do you have people who are against you, who are whatever that looks like? And so for you, Nehemiah chapter 4, one of the best passages, I think, in the Bible when it comes to dealing with people who are coming against the work of God. Tomorrow we're going to be in the next couple of chapters, chapter 6 through chapter 10, And yeah, I'm so ready for these next couple of chapters. But anyways, that's all we have for today. I'd love it if you would leave something in the description box, maybe what you got out of these chapters. And once again, I'll leave in the link in the comment section below what the next couple reading plan is. And here, I'll actually just go ahead and tell you. We are going to do Ezra, Nehemiah. I'll be here for that. And then Psalms will have Donnie. Proverbs will have Luke. So we're going to go Ezra, Nehemiah, then Psalms, then Proverbs, then Daniel, Ezekiel, Jonah, Nahum, and Hosea. So those are what we're going to deal with in the Old Testament. Then we'll get into the New Testament. I'll leave that though on a link in the in the description box. If you would, maybe leave something on what spoke to you. And until tomorrow, see y'all then. Peace.